guys, it's Dani. Today we are working with some super tiny orchids. I mean microscopic. These are true miniature orchids, and I got them a while back with the intent of actually using them in a terrarium setup, but judging by the response to my terrarium videos, I don't think there are a lot of people really interested in terrariums. At least not in the way that I make them. So what I decided to do is to just pot them up. Give them a different setup, one that maybe is a little bit more friendly or more achievable in an apartment or in a home. Something that will still work out great for these, and something that's slightly creative. I'm gonna show you the setup. So I kind of gave up the idea of the terrarium for now, to be fully honest. Don't worry if you're a fan of terrariums. I do plan on some more exciting terrariums for my second channel, some that might include animals as well. That's in the future, not now, but I already have the biorb, I have the jewel orchids in the biorb. I made a few jar terrariums of such. I think I'm good with terrariums on this channel for now. I just don't think many of you are interested in them. So we're gonna go for something else, and I'm just gonna play with the terrariums that I currently have, not make any new ones. Anyway, so I have here quite a bunch of miniature orchids, which I'm going to repot, and I'm gonna show you the cutest setup that I found for them. So if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a like, and why not subscribe? I post 3 times a week. Righty. So with that said, let me just show you what I have here. Let's start from here. So I have an Aerangis, which is quite a common miniature orchid. Some Aerangises are a little bigger than others. This is the Luteal alba rotosticta. Sorry. I always call it rotosticta for whatever reason. It creates beautiful white flowers with a deep orange center. Never had mine bloom, but this is the first one that is actually doing good for me. All of the others in the past, they just kind of withered off, and I'm not entirely sure why. By the way, Joey will sing a lot in this video, sorry about that. Next up we have Stelis gemma. This one I got with the intent of actually placing it in a terrarium, but you know what? I think it can also be potted. I will certainly remove it from the mount. But look how pretty it is. Bought it for the flowers, but in person it's so pretty that, I don't know, I think the flowers are secondary. This one is not actually doing all that great. This is another Stelis janetiae. You can see how tiny she is, but yeah, I do have some dieback here. I think a part of it is doing okay, but definitely a part has died off, so I really need to address this. And lastly, the beautiful Aerangis yet again, punctata, which has little tiny dots on the foliage. Very pretty little orchid. Needs a repot. I really don't like this medium it arrived in. So I'm not gonna film repotting all of them, obviously. I think I'm gonna start with this one, but I'm gonna show you what I will repot them in and how I will display them, because that's the whole spiel of this video. I just wanna show you what I came up with. Of course, my gloves are not here. Do I have spares? I don't. All right, so I only put on one glove. I'm a slight mess. I have so many things in my mind. All right, so I'm gonna be working with this new pruners that I got from Repot Me. It's a little big for what I'm doing, but I really wanna work with it. And it's definitely not because my other fiskars are not here. No, definitely not because of that. But hey, it worked. So I'm cutting away all of this fishing line, and there we go. Oh, she has tiny little roots. Look at that. She's actually in very good shape. By the way, the reason Joey is singing is because it's that time where she's very hormonal, very emotional. She wants Maya to preen her all the time, which she does, but Maya is more of a free spirit. And it says that she likes to fly around the greenhouse, check up stuff. Joey's more of a nest type of girl. So when Maya is not with her, she calls all the time. But yeah, Maya went to the nest too. So one of the things I had issues with this orchid was keeping it hydrated. As you could see, I kept it on the mount, but I also kept it in a little bit of water. That made the mount become covered in algae, which is not fun, but at least I maintained it hydrated. So it does strike me as a water-loving plant, and I will make sure that the new setup will have enough sphagnum moss combined with bark to keep her moist. Alright, so I think you've seen these. They have been here all the time. tiny little pots. Usually in these type of pots, you can find the mini phalaenopsis in flower shops. I always keep these, clean them up, collect them for plants like these. They are perfect. Look at that. So I'm gonna be using these types of pots and of course my sphagnum moss and bark mixture. By the way, these pots are so tiny, I really don't need ventilation slits. Combined with my warm climate, this little pot would dry out very, very fast, so I just don't bother putting holes. I'm also going to add just a few beads of slow release fertilizer, 3 or 4, and continue adding sphagnum moss. And if in your environment you don't get that horrible algae explosion on the top, which if it gets excessive, it can damage root tips, then you can leave it as that. But if you get algae, just put some bark as a top layer and voila, you will not have algae issues. That's what I do, and I can get away with this sphagnum moss mix. And ta-da, we are pretty much done. Now, this one was mounted pretty easy to unmount. It wasn't very attached to the mount anyway. I'm gonna give this a really good watering. I'm going to repot the other ones really, really fast and then show you the decorative pots and the setup. But yeah, this one is done. One more thing. I'm gonna make a new tag for it and the date when I repot it, more for the slow release fertilizer, because after a year, it kind of needs replenishing. You just need to add a few more beads of slow release fertilizer. That's about it. You know what? I'm gonna do something. I shouldn't be using this for this purpose, but I'm just gonna do it now. I'm gonna cut this in half. Like butter. These are really good and I feel like I'm spoiling them. Okay, Danny, no more. Use your awful one. I have one that actually does the dirty job, but I really like how this one cuts. All right, so I'm actually going to use half of the label so it doesn't really stick out all that much. There we go. How pretty is that? And I can use this other half for another one of these tiny orchids. And that's just so much more economical, isn't it? Good job, Danny. Okay, one is done. I'm gonna do the others really, really fast. Let's continue with the Aerangis. I know these guys by heart. I have issues reading someone else's handwriting. All right, so with this one, we do have a few dead roots that we can cut away. I'm gonna use this one. It's a little chubby. It would work much better for Cattleyas and Phalaenopsis, but even if it's chubby, the tip is not all that chubby, I guess. Can definitely work with it. So first off, I found these incredibly cute decorative pots at one of the garden centers here. Are you dry? I think they are. Okay, spare gloves. So these ones fit perfectly, these little pots. They still leave a little gap here for air circulation, so that's great. But overall, isn't it gorgeous? It's not even super heavy. Yeah, they're clay, but they're not super heavy. And also they have this matte coating on them. Slightly velvety somehow. I don't know, these are so cool. As for the setup, I'm going to keep them in this Detolf shelf, which you cannot really see. Promise, I'm gonna make a separate video on the Detolf shelf because I have one to assemble. Also, in the back of the shelf, I installed the Ikea pin board, which I'm gonna talk about in that video. It's not an original idea. You can see this setup on Instagram and the internet a lot. And as a little twist to the situation, I like to use I don't really fit here. Hold on, need to change the angle. All right, so as a little twist, I like to use these little holders that you can buy from Ikea as well. They're specially made for this pin board. And I showed you these before. I used them with my Tulumnias, still do, but in a different setup. And look at that, this one fits perfectly in this little cup. You might say, but wait, that beautiful decorative pot, now we cannot see anything. And you'll be very correct. That's why you could also be using this little container, again from Ikea, from the same section, which you can mount on the pin board, remove the container, and use this as a little ledge. Check this out. Ta-da! How beautiful is this? I love it so much, oh my goodness. Now, if you really want to be cheeky about it, which probably I will, I didn't do this yet, so I don't know if it's gonna work, but I do have an idea. Try to make this a self-watering reservoir. So either you put a hole in this, either you put the wick somewhere in the back. Anyway, it needs to go under this reservoir, and hey presto, you have a self-watering board thingy here if that's what you desire. I don't know, I'm gonna think about it. For now, I was only interested in the little ledges because look how pretty. Now I could totally reuse those little cups for something else. I always have a lot of accessories in the grow room, but definitely you can use these little ledges as such. And there you go, you can put your decorative container here. It's really sturdy and it just looks very, very nice. How cool is that? Now, you might be wondering why I'm using all of these glass shelves. Well, as I was saying in the Millsbow cabinet update on the files, it's so nice not to have so much dust on my orchids and also to have them protected from pests. It just makes such a difference when you have a lot of things to do and you don't have time to spray them every day. But obviously, it's not really the only way to grow your orchids or the only way to use these pin boards. You can pin them to the wall. In my video with the Tolumnias, you have all of these things that I'm mentioning down below in the description. I show you how I mount it on a desk. There's a lot of versatility with this product, but that's about it for today. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and listening to me. Hope you at least got some inspiration for this little situation. Hope you'll have a great day. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!